Okay, we're up to, I guess, mid-base.
You got to mute, Lace.
Okay.
And record. We're recording.
There's something. There's something. So you hadn't pictures away.
Oh,
Okay, we are recording. There are a few lines in the bottom of Chesed base. So kibbutz gaisais. Okay, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Gadol Yom HaGeshamim ki Yom kibbutz Golias. The day of rain is like the day of kibbutz Golias, where everyone comes together from all over. Shnemar Shuva Hashem es Shviseinu Kafikim Banegev, and ve'in afikim elamata. So Shuva Hashem es Shviseinu. Hashem is going to bring back the captives Kafikim Banegev, like the rain from the south. Elamat Shnemar. Okay, as it says, here's Mech. It says Vayar Afika Yom. What? That Afika Yom, it means what? It means water. Okay, so we see that, like, we see Afika, we prove Afikim is water, and it says Shua Hashem Shvisenu Kafikim Negev. So therefore, what? It's like, so kibbutz Golias, because Shua Hashem Shvisenu, we're going to bring everybody back. We're going to bring everybody back. Kafikim, and we compare it to kafikim like to water. From Rabbi Yochanan, another statement of Rabbi Yochanan. Gadol Yom HaGeshamim, great is the day of Geshamim. Shafilu gaisais paiskes. But even armies, they're stopped by what? They're stopped by rain. Shnemar. It says, the pasuk says, Tilameha Rave, her furrows they're saturated with water. Naches gedudeha. Gedudeha lashon gedud is the lashon of an army. Naches, they come to rest. Geshem ein ish mishalal b'mata sheker. From Rabbi Yochanan, my dichsiv amid aleph. What does it say? Very, very, very famous Gemara. Aser ta'aser. What's the double lashon of aser ta'aser? It says aser b'shvil tishasher. Go ahead and give meiser in order for you to go ahead and get wealthy, right? Ishtaker Rabbi Yochanan liyanuka the Reish Lakish. He found the grandson of Reish Lakish, or the son of Reish Lakish. Ben Arizai was. Right? Again, Reish Lakish married Rabbi Yochanan's sister, and this was the son of his sister. It's Rabbi Yochanan's nephew, with the son of Reish Lakish. And as we'll see, this is after Reish Lakish died. The Gemara in Bamitzia describes how Rabbi Yochanan, there was a shaila about Tumah in a sword, and Reish Lakish gave his answer that, and Rabbi Yochanan told him it takes like an expert to know because he had been a robber. And he said, and he basically told Rabbi Yochanan, what good is this? I was the head honcho over there, I'm a head honcho over here. And Rabbi Yochanan felt bad, looked at him, and he died. So I guess he was speaking to his nephew that he's a yasam. He's a yasam. So here's the conversation. He said to him, Ashke Rabbi Yochanan Yenuka and Darish Reish Lakish Amalei Emali Pisukeich. Go tell me your pasuk. They used to go ahead and asked them to say psukim. Sometimes it was divine nevuah. They would say, like famous Gemara in Gittin with Nero Kesar, that he came to destroy Yisraelim, and he asked the child to say a pasuk. He told him a pasuk, and he became a ger. And here he says, I hear you want to know what he's learning. Amalei aser to aser. He asked him, what's the double lashon? Amalei, am I aser to aser? So Amalei aser b'shul tetes asher. Rabbi Yochanan told him, give meiser in order that you get rich. So Amalei min alacha. How do you know this? So Amalei. So Zil Nase says Rabbi Yochanan to the Yenuka, to his nephew, go test Hashem. Amalei, so the child said to Rabbi Yochanan, Umi shari l'nsuyei la Kodesh Baruch Hu. Are you permitted to go ahead and test the Kodesh Baruch Hu? But the pasuk says, Loi sinasu es Hashem. Don't test Hashem. So how could you go ahead and give meiser and expect to see if a Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to go ahead and give you riches? Amalei hacham Rabbi Hoshaya. Chutz mizu, with this exception, you can't test Hashem with the exception of giving meiser. Shnemar, heviu es kol meiser, right? El beisa oitzer, by teref bebeisi, there'll be food in my house. Bechanuni no besois, and bechanuni no, and please in this test me by giving meiser. Am Hashem tzivakos. I'm like eftach lechem. If I want to open up for you, as arubas hashemayim, the windows of the heaven, Varikoisi lachem bracha adbelidai. I'll go ahead and provide bracha until you say it's enough. My adbelidai, what until you say enough? Amar Rabbi Bar Chama, Amar Rav, until your lips they're melumid to saying what? That's enough. That's enough. So that's again, you were able to test HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Very long Taisus over here. Now it's mashma. Where are you giving Maisa from? Let's do a little bit of the Taisus. Asa ta'asa hachi yisa b'sifri. Asa ta'asa es kol tevuas arecha hayotze sada shana b'shana. So ein liela tevuas arecha. I would say only to the teruah of your field is a din of Maisa to get from your crops. Shechayiv v'Maisa. Ribis upragmatio v'chol shar revachim inai. And how do you know any possible monetary gain, any profit you make, that there's a din of Meiser? It says, "Es kol tevuas arecha." What's the kol come to include? We could have just said "es tevuasecha," or tevuascha. I could have said your tevuah. Didn't have to say kol all. My kol, the rabbi sribis pragmatia v'chol davasher shemarviach by. That you should give Meiser what from everything. That you should give Meiser from everything. So because this kol tevuas arecha, the kol comes to include everything. Okay, back in the Gemara. Amar Rav, we did that. Amar ihavi mati hasam lahai psuka lehabis tzrichna la ulahai shei rabcha. Said the Yenuka a little, I don't know, a little audacity. He seemed to say to Rabbi Yochanan, had I got to this pasuk, I wouldn't have needed you or Rabbi Shio who said you can test me, because I would have known it myself. But I guess he hadn't learned it yet. The Su Ashki Rabbi Yochanan the Yenuka the Reish Lakish the Yosef Omar, he was sitting and he was quoting a pasuk. The pasuk says, "Iveles Adam to Salif Darko, a foolish man, he leaves the way, but Bal Hashem Yisaf Libai." Yosef Rabbi Yochanan become a Tama Omar Miik Midi the Ksiv B'Ksuve Ramis Be'araisa. So this pasuk seems to be saying, right? The pasuk say a person does a chait and things that come upon him, right? And he's going to go ahead and he's going to say, "Why did this happen to me?" So he's going to say, "Why did it happen to me?" So Rabbi Yochanan is wondering, is it possible that something that is there does not have a remembrance in the Torah where a person says something happened to him? So Amalei, this idea of a person wondering what happened to him, do we not have a remez in the Torah? Vaksiv, it says, "Vayetze libum." The pasuk says, "Vayomer Elochav Hoishav Kaspi V'gam Heina," by the brothers. Tachti, right? Vayetze libum vaydu ish elachiv lema mazois asel kimlanu. What has Hashem done to us when they found the cup? So again, they were wondering what's going on over here. Mazois asel kimlanu. So dal einai. Again, if you remember Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara in Baba Kama, guys, Rabbi Yochanan had very, very long eyelashes and his eyes were closed. He had like silver clips that he would go ahead and pull it up. So he didn't know who was talking. So dal einai, they lifted up his eyes with chazibei. And he saw this Yenuka who went ahead and showed him a place that he had known, the remez in the Torah to this din that people will wonder why things are happening to them. So Asya Ime, his mother came along. That's why the sister of Rabbi Yochanan, the mother of this child, and Afikte, and she took him away. Amrullah, she told Rabbi Yochanan, Teimi Kamei, leave him alone. He told the boy, leave, that he shouldn't do to you what he did to your father. Basically, that Rabbi Yochanan felt bad and Reish Lakish died. So again, this is how we know it took place after that. From Rabbi Yochanan, Mata Bishvil Yachid Parnasa, Bishvil Rabim Mata. It says Mata will come down for Yachid, and Parnasa, I read it wrong. Mata Bishvil Yachid, and Parnasa Bishvil Rabim. One more time. From Rabbi Yochanan, Mata Bishvil Yachid, Mata will fall from a single person for an individual. Parnasa Bishvil Rabin, Parnasa, general Parnasa, which is greater, will be for a Rabin. And we have a source for that. Mata Bishvil Yachid, the Siv, it says, Yiftach Hashem Lecha, es Oitzrei HaToiv, Hashem will open up for you. Mashman individual is Oitzrei HaToiv, Lo Seis Mata Artzucha, to give Mata to the land. Parnasa Bishvil Rabin, and Parnasa is for everyone, the Chsiv. Hine mamte lochem lechem. I will bring down lochem. Lechem, you see, for them, lochem means to the rabbin. Okay? Now, you're telling me that Mata is, that you tell that Parnasa does not come for a Yachid, but I'll show you Parnasa does come for a Yachid. Meisive, the following. Rabbi Yosef of Yehuda Omer, Shloisha Parnasim Toivim Am Yisrael. There were 3 Parnasim leaders of Klal Yisrael. Who are they? Elahen, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. They had a good family genealogy there. The Gilum Matanis Toives Nitnu Al Yadam, and we received 3 Matanis through these 3 leaders. Elohein, Be'er, the Be'er Shel Miriam, Va'anan, the Anan, which we saw in Rosh Hashanah and we'll revisit today, that came in the schus of Aaron, and Man, that came in the schus of Moshe. Be'er is schus Miriam, Amud Anon b'schus Aaron, and Man b'schus Moshe. Mesa Miriam, Istalika Be'er, when Miriam is nifta, the Be'er left. Shnemar, Batamasha Miriam, Uksiv Basrei, and right afterwards it says, that there was no water there because the bear had left. The Chazer b'schus Shneim, and the water came back, the river came back in the schus of Moshe and Aaron. Mes Aaron was Stalik and Ananiah covered, the Ananiah covered left. And this, you might remember from the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. Shnemar, by Yishma Kanani Melech Arad. The Melech, this is really Sichain, right? The Melech Arad heard that what? That Aaron was nifta. Mashmu Shama Shemes Aaron. He heard that Aaron died. And the Stalik Ananiah covered, and then Ananiah covered left. Because of the protection of Yisrael, right? The cone of silence, the protected Klal Yisrael is gone. So what did they do? Behind the Chsiv, by Yiru Kola Eda Ki Gava Aaron, and the whole Gemeinde, the whole congregation, they saw that Aaron passed away. And Amar Avavo Al Tikri V'Yiru, don't say they saw Ela V'Yiro, and they were scared. So you read it, V'Yiro Kola Eda Ki Gava Aaron. And the Eda was scared because Aaron died. Because now, as a result of Aaron dying, the Ananei Kavod left, and therefore Sichon attacked. Kiddush Lakish. Now we're learning the word "ki" as because, and we said we had a long Gemara, a long Rashi in the Rosh Hashanah that "ki" is full of shyness. Kiddush Lakish. Namreish Lakish. Ki mishamish ba'arba l'shyness. Ki can be used in 4 different ways. It can be used as if, Dilma maybe, Ella, right, but, and the ha because. So we're using it now as the ha as because, as the pasuk by Yira'u Kol Eda Ki, because Aaron died. Now Chazu Shneim, so both the Be'er and the Ananiah Kavod came back in the schus of Moshe. We spoke out a beautiful pshat that the Ananiah Kavod returned on Sukkot like the Gra, and that's why we, even though that we went out in Nisan, the reason why we celebrate the Ananiah Kavod, because it came back what? It came back after we did tshuva. We did tshuva for the Cheder Egel, and we saw that HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted that tshuva and was meratza by on Sukkot. Right? I spoke at a hafta sanu v'ratzisa banu, a hafta sanu v'ratzisa banu. A hafta we said by giving us the Torah, v'ratzisa banu by going ahead, restoring the Ananiah cover. Moshe was nifta. Nistalku kulon, then they all died. Then they all left. Then so there was no man, there was nothing. Shenemar says, "V'achid es shloisha saroyim b'erech echad." I removed the 3 royim, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam in 1 month. They died in 1 month. Miriam Mesa b'Nisan. Miriam died in Nisan. Aaron ba'Av. Aaron died in Av. Moshe ba'Adar, and Moshe died in Adar. So how can you say they died in 1 month? I removed them in 1 month. So what's pshat? The Be'er and the Anan and the Amon, the 3 matanis, they all left in the same month, because when Moshe was nifta, they were all gone. Right. Alma, what do we see? Ashlim Parnasa B'Shvil Yachid. Guys, there's a nice price with a lot of nice. But the bottom line is, you said Mata is for the individual. And you also said Parnas is for what? For the rabbin. Here we see Parnas is from the individual. We say Moshe, the Parnas was from Moshe. Alma Ashkech Parnasa B'Shvil Yachid. Says the Gemara, shiny Moshe. Moshe was different. Even the rabbin who boy, since what? He davened on behalf of everybody. Rabbin dummy. He was considered what? Like the rabbin. Okay, now so we saw very geschmack. We saw the Parnasa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring rain for an individual, Parnasa for a tzibur, Aser b'shvil shetis Aser, and you're able to test me. We saw that rain is like the kibbutz golius. We saw rain the other day is like Brias Olam. We're going to see a bunch of beautiful things about rain. So back to rain. Rav Huna bar Menayach, Rav Shmuel bar Idi, Rav Chia miVestonia. 3 people, guys. Again, Rav Huna bar Menoach 1, Rav Shmuel bar Idi 2, Rav Chia Mevestanya 3, Avishchich Kamei de Rava. They used to learn by Rava. However, Kinoach Nafshe de Rava, when Rava was nifta, Asla Kamei de Rav Papa, they came in front of Rav Papa. And Kol Emas Tahavi Amalu Shmaitza Vayam Istabalahu. Anytime they would Rav Papa would say something and they didn't agree with it, so Havi Meradodi. They would make ramazim to each other, and they wouldn't laugh, but clearly Rav Papa was able to see that they disagreed with him. And it says the Gemara, Cholish Daiti Rav Papa at Chalishas Hadas, Cholish Daiti, Amid Beis. And what happened? Achruya Bechelme, Rav Papa had a dream. And what did he see in this dream? And now we'll see why the Gemara brought it in. It says, and I'll remove the 3 shepherds. I removed Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. And over here, the dream obviously meant he's removing Rav Huna bar Menoach, Rav Shmuel Yidi, and Rav Chia Vastanya. He's going to be removing them. He's going to kill them for Hashem will make them die because of the Chalisha Stas felt by what? By Rav Papa. So what happened? Ki avi mithri minei amalahu lezel rabbanon lishalma. When he took leave, he said to him, Lech lishalom. Like not bish lech bishalom. Bishalom is not good. Bishalom usually means you got to die. Lech lishalom. So they changed the gears over here. If you look at by the Aleph, it says lishalma. You should go what? Lishalom, because again of his ominous dream that Rav Papa had. Rav Simi Barashi Havishchichi Kamed Rav Papa. Rav Simi Rav Ashi, he was common fan of Rav Papa. Havi Makshi Letuva, and he would ask him a lot of questions. Yumachod the Chazid the Nafal Ape. He saw that Rav Papa fell on his face, and Shamei and Rav Simi heard the Amar Rachmana. The Amar, I said Rachmana the Banish Litzla Miki Suf with the Simi, save me from the embarrassment of Simi. He's asking all these questions. So Kibul Lesh Shikusa Rav Dimi was makabel to be quiet, right? The Sule actually and didn't ask Rav Papa anymore that he shouldn't embarrass him. The Afrei Shlaka Sava Mata Bishvil Yachid, back to the program, and even Reish Lakish says Mata is for the Yachid. The Amar Reish Lakish Minayin LaMata Bishvil Yachid. How do you know Mata is for the Yachid? Yechsiv, because the pasuk says Shalu me Hashem Matar Bi Eis Malkush Hashem Oisa Chazizim Umitar Gashem Yitin Lehem Leish Esav Basada. Pasuk in Zechariah, and the words Chazizim. So the pasuk means that ask for mata in the time of Malkush. That's the later rain. Hashem will give clouds. Umata Geshem will give you to a person in the field. Now it's mashma, guys. Yitin Lechem Leish. He'll give it for an individual. In other words, even one person Hashem will bring rain for. Yachal Lechol, I might think, in other words, he won't give mata only to everyone who needs it, not even to, it's to Lechol. Tamad Laima Leish, it says to an ish means only one person. The Tanya, Il ish, Yachal Lechol Sedaisav, I might think to all his fields. Tamad Laima Sada, he'll even give it to one field. Il Sada, Yachal Lechol Sada, I would think even to the whole field. Tamad Laima Esev, even to part of the field. Kichad Rav Daniel Bar Katina, Havile Ahi Ginsa. Rav Daniel Bar Katina, he had this garden. He would go and see what its needs were. Sai means to walk around to see what the needs of the field are. Amar Ha Mishra Boimaya. This row needs water, but Ha Mishra Loy Boimaya. The Asa Mitra becomes Shaki. Kalech de Boilemaya. Mamish rain would come on the field of Daniel Bar Katina and give exactly where. Again, Mata rain is Hashem. I think I find it direct communication with Hashem. Again, based upon the pasuk in Perik Beis and Bereshis, right? V'chol siach hasoda yiyeh ba'aretz v'chol esav hasoda terem yitzmach ki ayin l'adam ayin. There's no person there. There's no person in Lavite. There was no person there to daven. Since there was no person there to daven, so in Mela we see that Hashem didn't bring the rain till a person davens. Rain is and as this Masechta will point out, is a mamish relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We can't live without rain. And when you daven, you go ahead and you bring rain. When you daven, you bring rain, and it's also on that Indian. Just since I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, there's a beautiful Rav Schwab, fellas. A Schwab says when Adam was created, Chava wasn't there, but Adam was given the Koyach HaDibur. You see, the whole purpose of Dibur is to daven because he had else to speak to except Hashem. no one else to speak to except Hashem, right? So you see the whole purpose of the whole purpose of tefillah is to daven. It's Gabaldik at the hair, and it connects the whole thing together. Okay. My Hashem oisa chazis. And now, since you dash in the pasuk, what do you mean? Hashem oisa chazisim. Hashem makes chazisim. Why is chazisim in Rabbi Lashon Rabbim? So Rabbi Yosi, Reb Chanina, Melamed shekol tzaddik v'tzaddik. Each tzaddik Hakadosh Baruch Hu oisalei chazis b'fnei atzmai. The Hakadosh Baruch Hu makes what? A cloud for him alone. Each person. My chazisim. What type of cloud is it? Rabbi Yehuda is parchos, flying clouds. That's a flying cloud. If you have a flying cloud, it's a sign there's going to be rain. And my parchas, what do you mean a flying cloud? Papa, Eva Kalisha, it's a thin cloud. Tutoy Eva Semichta beneath the thick clouds. I guess you see rain clouds move in and out. I have no idea, but that's what it says. Rav Yehuda. Nehila Mikame Mitra. If there's a fine mist before Mitra, Asi Mitra, it's a raya that rain's going to become. That will be a heavier rain afterwards. Basa Mitra, if the mist comes after Mitra, Pasuk Mitra, it's a sign it's going to stop. Right. Now you have a simon to remember this in case you forgot. Mikami Mitra, Asi Mitra, B'simanecha. So in other words, you get the mist beforehand. Mechulta. It's when you put flour in a sifter, so the thin stuff comes out right away, and the thicker stuff remains. So the thin part comes out is symbolic of misty rain, and then comes the heavier part. The basa mitra pasuk mitra, and if the thin part comes out after the heavy part, is the riot's going to stop. The simanecha is charya de ise. It's the way goats go to the bathroom. They first go to the bathroom heavy, and then it comes out thinner. I guess they knew about this stuff. Ula ikla Bavel, Ula came to Bavel, Chaza Parchos, he watched these flying clouds, and he applied his rule of thumb. Amalahu, he said, Panu Mane, he told the people, go ahead, take your kalim and bring him inside. Why? Because it's going to rain. However, the hashta asi mitra, the soif lo asi mitra didn't come. So Ula was not impressed. Ki hechi de mishakri bavloi, just as Babylonians are liars, hachi mishakri mitrayo, so that the rain clouds lie here as well. And since Ula is speaking about the positives of Bavel, facetiously, Ula ikli leBavel, chazi molit sina de tarmei bezusa. He saw that you could buy a basket of dates for a zuz. Mamish dates were found in Bavel, tremendously amount. Amar molit sina de dufsha bezusa. You can buy a basket of honey, mamish a basket of dates of honey for a zuz. And they're not busy learning Torah. Look, they have such beautiful days to sustain them. So what happened? He went ahead, Ula, and he went ahead and he indulged. And B'layla Tziru, in the evening, he had shulshul, Rashi says. He had shulshul, he had diarrhea. So Ula said, Mole tzina de sakina bezuza, a basket of knives. He changed up. He goes, imagine they have this basket of knives, and they're still able to learn Torah. He went full 180 degrees. He went totally around. Tanya, Rabbi says, all the waters of the rain clouds comes from the ocean. The ocean goes up into the clouds, so water comes from the ocean. Shnemar, as we said earlier, as I said, ve'ed yalim in aretz, and a cloud came up from the aretz, the hishkes kol pnei adam, and went ahead and nurtured and irrigated the whole world. So you see, where does water come from? Comes from the ground. So I'm like, how can you say it comes from the ground? We know water from Shemayim is sweet, and the waters from the oceans are salty. So how can you say that the water from the clouds is possibly what? From the ocean? So Amalai told him, the clouds sweeten them. They go up to the clouds, and the clouds have a filter, and they sweeten the salt. Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, we know that there's mayim atachtoinim, that's the water that's on this earth, and there's mayim al yoinim, mayim near Kadosh Baruch Hu. So water, rain comes from those. It doesn't come from the earth and evaporates. It comes from above. Shenemar, because it says limtara shemayim tishta moyim. The rain of Shemayim, you'll drink water. Almani Makayim. So how does what he do? Rabbi Eliezer's pasuk of Eid Yalim and Aretz. Malami Shan anonymous Gabrim Boilin Rakia. The clouds, they come from the earth and they go up. Upoiskin PM Kinoid, and they open their mouths. These clouds, they open their mouths like a barrel, like a leather barrel. They receive water from the mayim yoinim. Shenemar yizoku mata. He pours water into the cloud. The clouds then have holes in them, like what? Like a sifter. And they sprinkle the water until it comes on the ground. Shenemar chashras mayim ave shchakim. Chashras mayim, a sifter of water. Ave shchakim are the clouds of Shemayim. The ain bein tipa tipa ela kamalinima, and there's a drop. This drop, each one is like a hair's breadth. Now, this lamnecha, this teaches you shegadol yom hageshamim, great is the day of geshamim. Kiyam shnivu b'shmayim baritz. We're not from this pasuk. We're going to learn now from the following pasuk, guys. Not from the pasuk that was speaking about the clouds being a sifter. We're going to learn from the following that we had this earlier in the Masechta. We're going to on Daf Beis. We're going to have the same limud to teach me that the day of rain is like the day HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Shegadol yom hageshamim, kiyam shnivu b'shmayim ba'aretz. Shenemar. How do we know that? It says oisei gedolos ayin cheker. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does great things until you can't comprehend them. It says he puts matar al pnei aretz, and to put these two together, don't you know? Haven't you heard? Alakei olam Hashem ein cheke l'tfuna. So there's no cheke to his tfuna. So we see that when the pasuk ein cheke l'tfuna is speaking what and the pasuk before says rain. So it must be that rain has what to do with the brias of the world. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu arein cheker. Now, so we have machlokes. Rabbi Eliezer says water comes from below, and Rabbi Yeshua says it comes from above. The following: Mashke horim al Yosef. He waters the mountains from Yosef, from above. From Rabbi Yochanan, al Yosef shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Obviously it's Rabbi Yeshua, because like Rabbi Eliezer, the water comes from below, not from above. Says no, Rabbi Eliezer. What is he going to do with this? Even the salki lahasam, since the water goes up there from the earth up there, mashka mal Yosef currently. We call it of the mal Yosef. If you don't say this, we find that dust comes down from and shmutz comes from Shemayim. Where did they get it from? Obviously, it must come from the earth. Yet it's called afa avak min Shemayim. Elakivin the madle lahasam. Since the dust and the shmutz goes up there, it's still called min Shemayim karilei. Achanami, even though water comes from the earth, even the salka lahasam, since it goes up there, mal Yosef karilei, we call it what? We call it water from above.